Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Zing Metalfoes Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for August 2019. Wanted to do an update to the Zings. It's actually been quite a while since my last Zing Metalfoe deck profile, and a lot of you have been requesting that I do an update to this deck. Used to actually be my main deck that I used prior to Link format. I just really loved how the deck played as a whole, the consistency with the Zings and their destruction effects, and the Zing also being able to benefit the Metalfoe monsters with their own effects as well. Really working well together. I added a few link options to expand our extra deck plays that we can do with the Zing monsters and the different synchros they have available to them. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, I run 3 Suwani, Fire of the Zing. So the main thing about the Zing monsters is that they share the destruction effect to special summon another Zing when they're destroyed, and also being able to have different effects given to the synchro monsters that they use for the summon. And with Suwani, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent by the effect to the graveyard, so either one, battle or effect, you can special summon one Zing monster from your deck in defense, except for Suwani. And you can only use this effect of Suwani once per turn. And during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can immediately after this effect resolve, synchro summon one synchro monster using only Zing monsters you control as a quick effect, and a synchro monster that uses this as a synchro material gains 500 attack and also defense. But having the biggest benefit for Suwani is the fact that you have the boost, but also the fact that it's a 1900 attack point monster, meaning that you have a powerhouse level 4 to go with against your opponent. And it special summons it in defense, more for the fact that Suwani is a 1900 attack 0 defense monster. So they want you to go for the more defensive Zings after you destroy Suwani, which I'm also running 3. Beyond, this is the level 3 Zing monster, having the same destruction effect and also special summoning in defense, just like Suwani with this one. A monster that used it as a synchro material cannot be destroyed by battle, so another good protection for some of our big Zing synchro monsters that we make in the deck, like Boxia, for example. Beyond just gives you those extra options for the boost with Suwani, if you use it for that, and also just the protection from being destroyed by battle, so if your opponent has a big board that they want to clear your field with, Beyond just gives your synchro monster that extra protection. And having 1600 attack compared to Suwani's 1900 attack just gives you more and more options to go up against some of your opponent's monsters. And for some of the defensive Zing monsters, I run 3 Bixie, Water of the Zing. With this one, it makes your monsters that use this as a synchro material unaffected by trap effects, which is a big boost at that. Having the same destruction effects also for the other Zing monsters. The only difference is Bixie special summons the monster you summon off of this card in attack position, so most of the time you want to go for Beyond or Suwani with this card's special summon, so very, very important there as well. But I use all these as basically the material that I special summon out to the field for more of my bigger plays for my Zings. One of them being Jiao Darkness of the Zing. When this card you control is destroyed by battle or Karfek and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon one Zing monster from your deck in attack position except for Jiao. And you can send 2 Zing cards from your hand to the graveyard to special summon one Zing monster with 0 attack and one Zing monster with 0 defense from your deck and banish them during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Jiao, the Zing, once per turn, and only once that turn. So this is your big card that you use for your plays, being able to set up your Zing monsters in the graveyard, but also being able to give you monsters on the field much, much faster than having to rely on your opponent's destruction of your Zings on the field. It's, like I said, your biggest play to go for, but also the most riskiest, since your opponent can easily hand trap this card. But we have other options in the deck to hopefully at least prevent that play from going fully through. I remember when I played this deck a lot, having Jiao's play stopped, minus you 2 cards in your hand, and was one that definitely affected what I wanted to do with those plays. And also for the Yangzing monsters, I run 3 Chuen, Light of the Yangzing, being one of the best cards to use for Zhao. Puts it in the graveyard, then having a special summon effect from the graveyard to give you an additional monster on the field is a big help for sure with Chuen, but also just having another special summon option with this card, but also being your level 1 tuner to go for, with Zhao and Chuen being your tuners for your synchro plays. Having a level 1 and a level 2 tuner definitely do come in handy. And I run 3 for the Pendulum Yangzings, 3 Zefranyu Secrets of the Yangzing. With this being a scale 7, definitely does help for some Pendulum plays along with the Metalfoes cards, but I use it mostly for its monster effect when this card is Pendulum Summon, or when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect while in your monster zone. You can add 1 Yangzing or Zephyros Power Trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Zefranyu once per turn. It searches for, like I said, either of the hand traps that I run in the deck. 9 Pillar definitely does help a lot, being able to destroy my own Yangzings and then also have those power plays of stopping my opponent's effects. So I like to run the 3 Zefranyu, also for the fact that if I special summon this off of Zhao, I can make Boxia very, very easily with these 2 cards, shuffling back my opponent's cards, and then re-pendulum summoning from the extra deck Zefranyu onto the field to get its search. And lastly, for the Yangzing monsters, I run 1 Zefroxy, Treasure of the Yangzing. With this one, it has the power to give another Yangzing or Zephyr monster I control a tuner, and basically use it for the synchro. The only thing is Zefroxy will go to the bottom of the deck when this card is Pendulum Summon or Special Summon from the main deck. So you have those options with this one of. It doesn't have any other additional Special Summon or Surge effects, which is why I just like to run it as the one of for those options for my other monsters. And then for the Metalfoes monsters, the Metalfoes are definitely a very important part of the deck. I run 3 Metalfoes Silvered, with all the Metalfoes sharing the same effect for their Pendulum Scale. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, set 1 Metalfoes spell or trap directly from your deck. So I like to run 3 Metalfoes Silvered and 3 Metalfoes stealing your scale 1 and 8, so I'd say they're the easiest scales to use in the deck, also being low-level monsters if you do need to summon them out to the field. Silvered having 1700 attack and Stealing having 2100 defense if you need to play offensively or defensively. They both do come in handy for those, but like I said, they're mostly meant to be your scale plays for the deck, and also being able to search out some of the other important spell or traps we run. And just for some additional Metalfoes scales, I run 2 Volflame and 1 Gold Driver. Was debating to go the 2 and 2 with these cards. If I were to do that, I would just consider maybe dropping down, Bixie to 2 as a thought for an additional one of these. But I decided just to stick with these ratios for those plays. I find it the most consistent while I was playing. You didn't really have any problems completing the scales when you had the Metalfoes cards in hand. And most of the time, you just need the 1 to continue your, obviously, Yangzing plays and getting your other searches off. And to finish off the monsters, I run 1 Mare. This can be special summoned off of Yazi's own effect, so giving you this monster on the field is just an added play with the different tokens you can make for other extra deck summons that you can have once your field is filled with tokens. You can even use them for the Metalfoes plays also. And that's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, I run 3 Yangzing Path. You target 3 Yangzing monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You can only animate 1 Yangzing Path per turn. You can either use it for that, or if you have the multiple Yangzing Path in your hand, it can be also discarded for Zhao to the graveyard for its own special summon. So I definitely like to run it for that, but also just being able to reuse my Yangzing monsters. Let's say if I've gone through a lot of the resources late game and then get the draw 2, definitely does come in handy. And like I said before, having Zhao stopped was one of my, worst experiences with the deck, because then it just puts me in a really bad situation. So I like to run 3 Call by the Grave. If my opponent Ash Blossoms, I can easily just, Call by the Grave in response and keep Zhao's effect active and alive, being able to get my special summon, which is a very important part of your plays with this deck. And to finish off these spells, the 1 Metalfoes Fusion, it's searchable with your Pendulum Scales, so just having this as a fusion option as well for some of our fusion options in the extra deck definitely does come in handy when we need to go for the fusion route, and then just having the recycle play from the graveyard is another added bonus. And now moving on to the traps, I run 2 Metalfoes combination, another search with this card. Once per turn, if a fusion monster is fusion summoned, you can target 1 Metalfoes monster in your graveyard with a lower level than the fusion monster and special summon it. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Metalfoes monster from your deck to your hand. So more search options with this card as well. Definitely does come in handy, especially if I use cards like Yazi, targeting Yang Zing control, 1 card my opponent controls, gives me options there, but most of the time I use it for the Metalfoe play, having this card activated, then destroying it with the Metalfoe to give me the additional scale I need for my plays also. And lastly, to finish off the traps, I run 1 Zephyr Divine Strike and 1 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing. I debated dropping the combination numbers down to 1 and then putting in an additional 9 Pillar, but I like having at least the 3 targets for the Metalfoe pendulums, so if I end up opening any of them, I at least have some other options for the search when I need to destroy Yang Zing on my field to get those extra searches. But 9 Pillars, Negate, and Zephyr Divine Strike both come in handy since I can easily build up my extra deck, and also just having this option to stop my opponent's card is a big help as well. And the fact that it shuffles into the deck can take care of a lot of graveyard problems also. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 Boxia Brightness of the Yang Zing. You need 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner worm-type monsters to make this card. When this card is synchro summon, you can target cards on the field up to the number of different original attributes of the worm-type monsters used for the synchro and shuffle them into the deck. And once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. Destroy that target on the field, and if you have a special summon of that other monster from the graveyard. So you can target the big play. I messed up. It wasn't Yazi before. It was Boxia. It's been so long since I played the deck. I'm getting all the nostalgia while I play the effects through my mind. But Boxia is able to target the combination you set on the field with your pendulum scale and destroy it, giving you the final search you need to complete your scale so you can get more pendulum summons off as well. And what I also like is now with link monsters, you can have the extra monster you special summon from the graveyard and then Boxia link summon into a link 2. So then you can have your scales open for more pendulum play, since most of the time your Boxia that you summon off of Yugioh 2 is going to take up the extra monster zone. And I also run 2 Yazi Evil of the Yang Zing, just being another option for destroying my opponent's cards, also being unaffected by card effects, since it can't be targeted by opponent's card effects, is another big bonus for this card. I like to run the 2 of. I thought maybe 3 Boxia, 1 Yazi, but decided to try the 2 and 2 route for now. And I also run 1 Xiaofang, just another powerhouse level 9 Yang Zing. Definitely does help taking care of my opponent's cards, also giving me more revival plays, and just a level 9 option with the Yang Zings if I'm limited, if my pendulum scale is set as well. And then for some more generic synchros, I run 1 High-Speed Roid Chambara. The multiple attacks with this one definitely does come in handy to finish off my opponent. Metalfoes Horus, just being another worm option and a level 6, depending on what you use to make it, can also give you some added beneficial effects. And for the additional level 8 synchros with Yugioh 2, I would say is the easiest one to make with the deck. I run 1 Borreload Savage Dragon with the link monsters we make especially. This becomes quite a powerhouse late game. 1 Void Ogre Dragon. You definitely do invest your hand a lot with plays, so if you can make this and another synchro on the field, it definitely does help. Also 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. When you have Yazi and Chuen on the field, you can make this card quite easily. And 1 Igniter Prominence of the Blazing Draco Slayer. This one, with your pendulum scales, can help take care of a lot of your opponent's cards if you can't target them for sure. And for the link monsters, I run 1 Electromite. We run plenty of pendulum monsters to make this card and fully make use of it as well. 1 Zephyra Metaltron with the extra deck monsters, another nice one to go into, especially with Electromite, and if I have like a synchro on the field that I've already used but I want a stronger play and more open up spaces for the extra deck. And like I said, this is the one I probably make the most for the link 2, just needing 2 monsters. Land Fornicus for the generic link options. This one really gives me a lot of my different plays back from the extra deck. The one thing I thought to run, it's a little more difficult to make, but if you want to try it, number 38, you could try taking out, either the Crystal Wing or the Void Ogre to put in a number 38, which you overlay 2 level 8s, which if you have the links open and you make 2 Boxia, can easily be achieved as well. And we spoke of fusions with Metalfoes Fusion, but I run the 1 Metalfoes Mithrilium. You need a Metalfoes monster and 1 Pendulum monster to make it, so when this becomes an option and you need it for Metalfoes Fusion, it definitely does help just having your options open to you if you Pendulum summon a bunch of your Metalfoes back onto the field to use. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, actually, I'll go over just the main play real quick so all of you know of it. Now, obviously, I said Yugioh 2 was the main card to go for in the deck, and having any other 2 Yang Zing cards to summon out, Chuen, Path, you name it, gives you the special summon for Yugioh 2. So if this is on the field, you discard the 2, and hopefully if it resolves. If not, that's why you have the Call by the Grave in the main deck as well to stop your opponent's hand traps. But the special summons, if they go off successfully, will give you the Zafranyu, and then I usually like to go for one of the 3 first Yang Zings we spoke of as well. And then with this, you have the level 8 play for Boxia using Zafranyu and Yugioh 2, which then Zafranyu will go to the extra deck and Yugioh 2 will go to the graveyard, and you will summon out your Boxia out to the field. And then you will use its effect, shuffling back anything of your opponents, and then also being able to destroy Sawani to get back a card from the graveyard. And if you open up Chuen, it's all the better because you'll get that extra monster on the field. And then you'll also be able to make use of the Yang Zing you destroyed and get another extra special summon from the main deck onto the field. Then you can use those resources to continue your plays. Most of the time, like I said, I'll go for the link plays that I have available, so then I can just go for a pendulum summon as well. And don't forget, if you open up the additional Metalfoes scale, you can destroy other additional Yang Zing monsters you have on the field before you use Boxia's effect, so you can get the search for your Metalfoes cards most of the time going for the combination, which will set on the field. And if you don't want to destroy your Yang Zings with Boxia's effect, you can, obviously destroy it first with your Metalfoes card, and then save Boxia for the destruction of combination, which will give you the additional scale that you can set onto the field, and then pendulum summon with the card we put in the extra deck, which is Zafranyu, onto the field to get the additional search for your counter trap that you run in the deck, which is your 9-pillar, and putting that on the field will give you the counter that you can then destroy Zafranyu next turn, giving you another search for your deck, and then having other bigger boss monsters on the field for your opponent as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.